Okay, the silence right now, it feels a little awkward, doesn't it? We're so used to constant noise, constant scrolling, constant something. And that's the problem. This was me a month ago. 7 hours, 21 minutes of screen time per day. And the crazy part, I couldn't even tell you what I saw in those 7 hours. I'd wake up, and before I even had a thought, I was already on my phone. And when I was with friends, well, I wouldn't really listen much since I was way too focused on what was on my phone. I thought I was fine, right? Everyone does it. It didn't even feel like a problem. But then something happened to me that made me realize it was. It was a Saturday night. I just finished a huge project, like heaps of work, late nights, the whole thing. And I remember sitting at my desk, closing my laptop, and thinking, okay, done. Now what? And I had nothing. Not nothing to do. I mean, there was always something to do. I meant nothing to feel. No pride, no satisfaction, just emptiness. And the immediate urge to pick up my phone and fill that emptiness with something, anything. I realized I had spent weeks working on a project without ever reflecting on it. I never even asked myself, did I actually enjoy this? What was the hardest part? What was one thing that I'd do differently? We talk about learning as if it's just input. You read, you write, you listen, and then you know things. But that's not true. Think about food. If you eat a meal and immediately run a marathon, what happens? You throw up. Your body needs time to digest, to absorb the nutrients, and to turn the food into actual energy. Information is exactly the same. We're consuming constantly, hours of videos, thousands of posts, a million conversations, but we never stop to digest. And when we don't digest, we don't grow, we just pass through. You become a person who has seen everything and understood nothing. Now, here's where my idea really starts. Think about the last time you watched a 2-hour movie. You probably remember the characters, the plot, maybe even specific scenes. But think about what you watched on TikTok yesterday. Can you even name 5 videos? Probably not, right? And it's not because movies are better, but it's because of how your brain works. A movie forces you to stay, to follow a story, to connect the dots. Your brain has time to process, to build meaning, and to reflect, even if you don't realize it. But scrolling? It's speed. One video, and then the next, then the next, and then the next. Your brain has no time to pause, no time to process, let alone time to reflect. The information doesn't stay in you. It just passes through you. And over time, that changes you. Not just what you know, but how you think. Because reflection isn't just some nice habit. It's how your brain turns experience into memory, and memory into understanding. Now, let me give you an example from my real life. A few months ago, I had a fight with my best friend. It was stupid, honestly. A miscommunication about plans. But at that moment, I was furious. I sent her a paragraph of angry text, yet she replied with only one message. I need space. And that was it. For 2 whole days, I was mad. I replayed the argument in my head, but only my side. I even showed the messages to my other friends, and they were like, yeah, you're right, she overreacted. But then on the 3rd day, something happened to me that I didn't plan for. I was on the bus phone at home, and I reached for my earphones, and they weren't there. I'd forgotten them. For a moment, I panicked. Seriously, 20 minutes with no music, nothing? Just sit there? And so I did. I sat there, looking out the window. And my brain, with nothing else to do, nowhere else to run, finally asked the question that I'd been avoiding for 3 days. What did she actually feel? And I couldn't answer. I didn't know. I hadn't even tried to know. I was so busy being right, so busy being stuck in my own head and my own discomfort that I never once stopped to imagine what might have her day been like, or what were some of my actions that hurt her more than I intended. That moment on the bus changed something, because I realized that without reflection, I was stuck in my own head, my own anger, and my own version of events. Reflection didn't just make me feel better, it literally allowed me to see someone else's perspective for the first time. And that's when I understood what reflection actually does. Reflection does 3 things that speed cannot do. First, reflection creates self-awareness. It lets you see your own patterns. Without it, you keep on repeating the same mistakes, and then you wonder why nothing changes. With it, you can actually choose who you want to be. Second, reflection creates empathy. Because to reflect honestly, you have to ask yourself questions like, what was the other person feeling? What did I miss? Or how did I contribute to this? And those questions are the only way to actually connect with other humans. And third, reflection gives meaning to progress. You can get the likes, win the competition, get into the right school, but if you never stop to ask why, it all feels empty. Reflection is what turns achievement into fulfillment. This is why this year's topic, Human Plus, must mean faster tools and deeper minds. We live in a world that wants us to move, consume, react, repeat. Technology and a fast-paced world represent the plus, speed, impact, and power. But reflection? That's the human part. That's the part that adds empathy, self-awareness, and purpose to innovation. If we only get more faster, we don't become more human. We become machines. Efficient, productive, yet empty machines. Because Human Plus isn't about becoming faster humans. It's about staying human in a faster world. So, what does this look like for me in practice? For me, it's small. It's the 5 minutes before bed where I think of, what was one moment today that I want to remember? What was one moment that I'd do differently? Or it's a text message that I sent to my best friend after the bus ride. I wrote, I'm sorry for how I made you feel. When you're free, I'd love to talk. We talked for an hour after that. Not about who was right, but what we both felt. And now, our friendship is stronger than ever. Why? Because instead of avoiding the conflict, we reflected on it. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates said that, like 2,000 years ago. But I think in 2026, the update is, the unexamined life isn't even yours. We live in a world that wants us to move, consume, react, repeat, a world that writes your story for you, through algorithms, through trends that tell you what to do and what to care about. But here's what I've learned. Reflection is how you take your life back, how you look at the person you've been and decide who you want to be next. So, here's my challenge to you. Today, find one moment, just one, maybe after a class, after a conversation, and ask yourself one simple question. Not what did I do, but what did I learn about myself today? It will feel weird, it will feel slow. In a world that tells you to move faster, choosing to think deeper may feel like you're falling behind. But I promise you, that pause, with no music, no scrolling, just you and your thoughts, that's where the human part happens. So finally, today, after this talk, I'll leave you with one final question to reflect on. Who's writing your story? Thank you.